The little girl woke just after midnight because she heard the front door open, and the first thing she saw was her exhausted father struggling to carry an unconscious woman dressed in an elegant black evening gown through their tiny apartment. His shirt was soaked from the rain, his shoulders trembled with exhaustion, and the expensive high heels hanging from the woman's feet looked completely out of place beside the worn-out toys scattered across the living room floor. The child stood frozen, wondering whether the stranger belonged in their lives, while the man silently prayed that nobody would misunderstand what had happened. Imagine standing in his place. Would you walk away from someone who had everything money could buy but was too broken to stand on her own? Or would you risk your reputation to help a person who might never even remember your kindness? Nathan had been raising his 8-year-old daughter, Grace, alone ever since his wife passed away from a sudden illness 4 years earlier in a small town outside Chicago. Every morning before sunrise he prepared breakfast, packed lunches, braided Grace's long brown hair as best he could, and rushed to his job as a maintenance supervisor for one of the largest technology companies in Illinois. His employer was Eleanor Brooks, a billionaire businesswoman whose success had made magazine covers across America, but whose cold personality had made her feared inside every office she owned. Employees whispered that she never smiled, never celebrated birthdays, and never forgave mistakes. Nathan had spoken to her only a handful of times despite working for the company for years. To him, she was simply another distant executive living in a world he would never understand. That rainy evening, the company hosted a luxury charity gala at a downtown hotel. Nathan had stayed late because a broken electrical system needed immediate repairs before the event ended. As guests in expensive suits and glittering dresses laughed beneath sparkling chandeliers, he quietly finished his work and prepared to leave. Walking through the nearly empty underground parking garage, he noticed someone sitting on the cold concrete beside a luxury sedan. It was Eleanor. Her makeup had been ruined by tears, an expensive wine bottle lay nearby, and she could barely lift her head. The powerful woman who intimidated thousands of employees looked completely defeated. She tried reaching for her phone but lacked the strength to unlock it. Nathan searched for emergency contacts, but the only family number listed repeatedly went unanswered. The private driver had already left after being dismissed hours earlier. Leaving her alone in that condition felt impossible. Calling the police would create headlines that could destroy her reputation overnight. After carefully thinking through every consequence, Nathan gently helped her into his aging pickup truck instead of the luxury car sitting untouched in the garage. He drove to his apartment because it was only 15 minutes away, hoping she could safely recover until morning before returning home with her dignity intact. Grace quietly helped her father spread clean blankets across their old sofa while Nathan found bottled water and aspirin. Eleanor drifted in and out of sleep, occasionally whispering words that made little sense. Once she softly repeated the name of someone called Michael before tears rolled silently across her cheeks. Nathan covered her with a blanket, switched off the living room lights, and slept in a chair nearby, unwilling to leave a vulnerable guest alone. He knew that if anyone discovered his billionaire boss sleeping in his apartment, countless rumors could destroy both his career and his reputation. Yet he also knew that kindness often required courage that nobody else would ever see. Morning sunlight slowly filled the apartment. Eleanor opened her eyes, confused by the unfamiliar room decorated with second-hand furniture, children's drawings, and family photographs. Embarrassment washed across her face as she remembered fragments of the previous night. Nathan politely explained what had happened without asking questions or expecting gratitude. She quietly thanked him, accepted a cup of coffee, and left in silence after arranging for a driver to collect her. Nathan believed the strange chapter had ended forever. Less than 2 hours later, someone knocked urgently on the apartment door. Nathan opened it expecting a delivery, but Eleanor stood there again. This time she wore simple clothes instead of designer fashion, her eyes were swollen from crying, and she carried no bodyguards, assistants, or expensive handbags. The moment Grace greeted her with an innocent smile, Eleanor suddenly broke down. Tears streamed freely as she stared around the tiny apartment where love had clearly survived despite poverty. She admitted that she had not cried in front of another person for nearly 15 years. The truth she revealed shocked Nathan. Years earlier, Eleanor's only son had died in a tragic accident while she was attending another business meeting overseas. She had spent every waking hour building wealth, believing success would secure her family's future, only to realize too late that she had sacrificed the moments that truly mattered. After losing her child, her marriage collapsed, friendships disappeared, and work became the only place where she could hide from unbearable guilt. The previous night had marked the anniversary of her son's death. She attended the charity gala pretending to be strong, but the pain finally overwhelmed her once everyone stopped watching. Nathan listened quietly because he understood grief better than most people. He shared how loneliness filled every corner of his home after losing his wife, how he learned to cook through countless burned dinners just to make Grace smile again, and how every difficult day became bearable because his daughter reminded him that love never truly disappears. Neither wealth nor poverty had protected either of them from heartbreak. They simply carried different versions of the same invisible burden. Over the following months, something remarkable happened. Eleanor began visiting the apartment regularly, never with expensive gifts at first, but with board games, homemade cookies she awkwardly baked herself, and stories Grace loved hearing. The billionaire slowly rediscovered laughter that had disappeared for over a decade. Nathan never treated her as a celebrity or a source of opportunity. He simply treated her like another human being deserving of compassion. Inspired by his example, Eleanor transformed her company culture. Employee counseling programs expanded, paid family leave increased, scholarships were created for children who had lost parents, and anonymous emergency funds quietly helped struggling workers without forcing them to beg for assistance. Nathan refused promotions that would separate him from Grace during her childhood, but Eleanor insisted on creating flexible leadership opportunities that allowed him to remain a devoted father while mentoring other employees. People assumed the billionaire had changed because of new business strategies. Only 3 people knew the real reason. Everything began on one rainy night when a widowed father chose kindness over convenience and protected the dignity of a woman the world believed needed nothing. Years later, Grace graduated from college with honors. Sitting among the cheering crowd were her father and Eleanor, both wiping tears from their eyes. One had given her life. The other had helped heal it. Neither shared the same blood, yet they had become family through compassion rather than circumstance. Sometimes the richest gift a person can offer isn't money, influence, or success. Sometimes it is simply refusing to walk away when another soul is quietly falling apart. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever experienced an unexpected act of kindness that changed your life forever? And if this story truly touched your heart, please like, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe for more emotional stories about kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion.